I'm gonna watch some of my matches of the days from yesterday, and I'm gonna give you my some examples of my process of how I would watch replays. I talk about why I do this, do that. Basically, the reason why I would choose to write things down, or like what I would write down, and then what I would do with it. A lot of people always say, just watch your replays. Right? That's like essentially what they say. Just watch your replays. But they don't really tell you what to do or like where to go from there. You know what I mean? They're just like, watch your replays, and that's kind of it. Go into more detail, and I'll kind of show how I would do it. So how I'm going to do this, I'm gonna write something here. So we're gonna put this on the screen. We're gonna write down stuff as it happens, right? So here's what I would do. There's two things that I primarily do, especially when I'm learning a matchup. I watch my round starts and where they win and where they lose. In this case, this isn't really a good example because like me and Days at this point, like this set, I can tell by the fact I jump forward, this is not like my layer 1. This is like my layer 7 or some shit. Normally I would write down like, you know, if Geo does 5H, I do Faras here. I wish this Faras wins. Just as an example. I mean, in this interaction alone, it would trade. But good to know. I usually will watch them through like this, right? I'll just watch them, see what happens. And then usually when someone gets hit, that's when I start to nitpick, right? So here, by the fact you can tell I did FD throw, and you can tell because I do this, I think even before he dashes forward. I don't know, I guess I did fuzzy throw because I fuzzy through this whole set. This is an interaction where I just immediately commit with curse, so he does dash, far S. I think it's far S. Even though it's very direct, I'd still write it down in immediate shot after curse beats Geo dash, far S. You can kind of read it, right? What if it was purple? It looks like I just vomited, but it's good. The reason why I would do this, like if I ever think like, oh, they're just doing dash after burst and they're hitting me, then I have an answer, right? I've already written this down. They do backdash on this, which is, this is smart because it at least adds an RPS element, but I would still write that down even though, like in this case, if I didn't know how to do it, like deal with it, I would write, you know, Geo backdashes on 5H, I should write like this, 5H steady. So here, I don't really know how this interaction happened, but essentially this is just kind of like a scramble. I would not really write that down, but if you aren't 100% sure on what classifies as a scramble or not, I would still write that down anyways, just as note. There's no disadvantage to having more information, you know, in comparison, right? It takes a tiny bit more effort. Let's see. I start OK with same thing, 6K, 5H, shot, but this time I answer 5K. So in this interaction, I would write maybe 5K. So right here, I do 5H delay shot, right? So this is also something I'm testing. So in this case, I'd write down maybe delay shot wins. When I was new, when I really struggled to think of offensive stuff, this was especially relevant in older Guilty Gears, right? I would write down the block strings I did in the ones where I was successful. Or if I watched someone, I would do this. So for example, here, 5K, 6K, Big Brain. I'm gonna call it the Jimmy Neutron because he grabs his head. Jimmy Neutron seems right. Essentially, I would note these things down, one, to help me get a balance, like a more linear thought process on what I would do with my strings, right? So like essentially, I would write these down to have like, okay, well this frame traps, right? 5K to 6K will frame trap. If I Jimmy Neutron super, if I Brain Blast, then I can go for a frame trap, which is why I did 2D, which it covers, you know, backdash, but also will catch mashing. Did round start jump forward, jump P? I don't know what I was looking for here, but it was probably smart. So again, like these are just really good to know. Like it helps you memorize like the sort of interactions, helps you just overall. You may notice it's basically a lot of writing shit down, right? I realize Geo whiffing far as Omega easy whiff punting. This is kind of how I would start doing a lot of my thought process, right? This is like a good example of how I start to learn matchups. So then like from this interaction, I would think, oh, far S is like really bad on whiff, and it has like a specific dead zone, as you can see there. It's essentially better for you to think about it like this, because if you can win just by moving without even committing, then that's ideal, right? That's what you want at the end of the day. I fucking die. That just sounds funny. Right here, I'm dead. I'm deceased here. So here's what I would write down. Died to jumping at the end of the close range. Focus on holding my ground more. The reason why I would note this is because this was actually a kind of easy like situation for Daze to choose, because if you pay attention, Daze has 50 meter. This could not have even been a reaction, but kind of just like a run up sort of flip kick sort of thing, right? Run up EP. Either hold my ground more in pixel situations, hold my ground more. These are the two things I would write. So here's something very important that a lot of people need to do this. RPS after 2 and 4K and Daze Press is 5P. Find an answer to cover backdash and mesh. The reason why this is important is because even if we can't find something to watch both, right? Like if or cover both, we can at least find the highest damaging option to cover what we expect. We're gonna go in with this because we've gotten a lot of information, right? So watch your games, write notes, then we go into training mode. RPS after 2 and 4K, find an answer to cover backdash and math. Daze got me a lot with Spiral Arrow, find better options to challenge on block, or training mode to be more comfortable in situations. So let's try this one. So close slash trades. No, it does not trade. 2D loses. 2K wins. 5P wins. We've gotten some a good basis. 5P with successful work here. Right, so this is a way I could cover both. In either case, I could use these to, adjust my game plan. So we have one way to cover both options. This is like an obvious layer 1, but like there's nothing else that would work here, so this would be like its own sort of situation. So my answer would be this every time. As a layer 1, right? This would be the main thing I would implement, because this way at least I can cover both pretty simply, even though this isn't the best reward. These sort of interactions are either more valuable or less valuable depending on risk reward. Usually if like we can't find a single solution, again, like I said earlier, even if we can't find something to cover both, we can just choose something with the best RPS. In this case, if she does backdash 5H, this is honestly one of the worst things to get counter hit by for me. Whereas counter hit 2D at this range, I'm not as concerned about, because it still opens up a lot of like better interactions for me. Whereas 5H, I can't beat as consistently, right? Because it's so fucking fast. So Geo backdashes on 5H. I cannot mash up enough there. However, if I just delay this slightly, this will catch them, and again, risk reward is in my favor. Because not only does this work like this, right? I can get a focus and full bullets from this. So again, this is a case where I don't really mind the risk reward, even though sometimes if this interaction happens and I'm not ready, Geo can kill me. It's not as big of a deal. And of course, this is assuming they backdash perfectly. Just delay your shot. Lol. Is what I would write. Let's go on to this. This is another thing, just as an example. Let's find better ways to... Which is Spiral Arrow? I think it's 236K. Half the difficulty of this, it's not just in the fact that the move itself exists, it's in the fact that they can do this at variable times. Like, that's where Daze really got me. Like, it was not that I'm not prepared to deal with Spiral Arrow, it's more that the way he varied his offense at the layer, which meant that, you know, I was not as prepared, which made me hesitate. Let's see, how late can I hit this? 5K, not so late. 6P, pretty late. RS, not as late. 5P, not as much. So basically all I want from this is just to stick speed on reaction. Not because it's the best, like, damaging option, but because most of the time if I react too late, I need to fire S. And then I would just test this until, like, I felt comfortable enough defending. Right? Just like that. That's basically the gist of things. I hope this made a lot of sense. The problem is, like, also what you put value into and what you think about. But this is like a good way to just get started, like basically you see a problem, you work on fixing it. That's it. You don't need to think about anything else, right? Just think about how you beat these moves and interactions, and that's where you get a lot of you grow a lot.